Hey, Roger Martin here from Billings, Montana. Good day. I loved parts of Dr. Janda's insight. This guy that hates Trump, who's a legal expert, says some very clear and impelling things.
He provided the transcript. There was no obstruction of Congress. But really, what Congress is doing is they in turn are obstructing justice.
Congress is obstructing justice. Let me continue here. So we're getting into this lawyer and what he says about Trump, and he hates Trump. But what he says about this impeachment proceedings. Get into that in just a moment.
By us not getting to the heart of the matter of the criminality that occurred by United States citizens, including U.S. politicians.
Now, this is still avoiding really what's going on. It's just a show and it's a con game. We're not getting to the trials and really what's going on. Huber and Durham and Barr and other individuals need to bring this stuff out. The matter is when they're going to bring it out and timing. Is it going to happen this summer, this spring? Is it going to get into the heat of matters and the heart of matters by the time the election comes? I think it will, but we'll wait and see. We're just going to be patient as this foolishness plays out.
In Ukraine. If anyone's guilty of obstruction, it's Congress.
Now, I repeat, if anybody's guilty of obstruction, it's Congress. And he's going to testify this on a second party with this lawyer. There goes.
Not President Trump. And remember, they had to push this process through quickly and expeditiously because President Trump was such a threat to the country, and the sooner we can impeach him and get rid of him, the best for the country. Well then, one day after impeachment, deep state shill Nancy Pelosi all of a sudden says, I'm not sending the articles of impeachment to the Senate, and I'm not sending the House managers to present the case to the Senate.
Now, here's what's strange. You got House managers presenting the case to the Senate. And who will the House managers be when it is presented? And who will conduct this hearing in the Senate? All of a sudden, there are stops on it, and they want to get some more evidence or get some more people turned over in the Senate before they even have a trial. Again, another power play, another con job, another hesitation and abuse of power and authority.
What? From Zero Hedge, Dems undercut impeachment case by delaying start of Senate trial until next year. It was only a few days ago that Democrats were delivering emotional speeches about the urgency and importance of impeaching President Trump. So much for that. The day after the House impeachment charade vote, if you will, Nancy Pelosi appeared to undercut her own claims, not the first time she's done that, that Dems had a constitutional duty to impeach President Trump, when she refused to allow the next step in the process to move forward by delaying the handing over of the House impeachment case.
It's such a con game on in D.C. And this charade, these con games, these power plays, they need to be called on the carpet. In my opinion, Pelosi and several other people, Schumer and several individuals you talked about before, need to be called on the carpet. But this is showing how abusive, how powerful and deceptive they are. They can't even be honest with themselves, let alone with the American people.
To the Senate. Well, enter Noah Feldman. Remember, Feldman was one of those high-end attorneys, this dude from Harvard.
Now this Nora Feldman, I don't know him well, but he's going to make some very interesting statements here. And pay attention to this. And he hates Trump. The thing is, he hates Trump, but he's right on what this charade is doing.
Who testified at that Adam Schiff goat rodeo impeachment inquiry hearing. He despises Trump, despises President Trump. But here's what he said about what Pelosi was doing. The White House is considering making the case that Mr. Trump has not been impeached based on an opinion piece by Harvard law professor Noah Feldman. Feldman was one of the legal experts called by Democrats to testify before the House Judiciary Committee earlier this month and has advocated for Mr. Trump's impeachment and removal from office. Here's what Feldman said, quote, "Impeachment as contemplated by the Constitution does not consist merely of a vote by the House, but of..."
Now listen to this. Let's break this down. This is only the beginning process of the Congress vote, the letters of impeachment, and the process to go into the Senate must continue. The Senate must have a trial. They must have authority over their job because only the Senate can try the president. Congress has a right to bring up the articles of impeachment, but they don't have any right to try him. This is where Pelosi's been wrong all along. And if they brought up the reasons why, and that's great, but they don't have any authority to try him. It's all been a charade. Only the Senate does. But they need to bring their evidence forward in articles of impeachment and let the Senate do their job. And the American people need to be educated and need to understand this process. Legally and constitutionally, what it works and how it works.
The process of sending articles to the Senate for trial. Both parts are necessary.
Articles of impeachment to the Senate for trial, quote unquote. It's not the Congress' job to try the president. They're just supposed to present the articles of impeachment and the evidence so the Senate can do their job and do the trial. And that process has now been stopped because Pelosi and other individuals in the Democratic Party, think they should be able to control more what goes on in the Senate, and they have no authority to do that. You must be clear on that. They have no authority to do that.
To make an impeachment under the Constitution, the House must actually send the articles and send messengers to the Senate to prosecute the impeachment, and the Senate must actually hold a trial, end quote. He goes on.
Again, that's the process. That has been stopped. This is a clear violation of what should be going on. And if I was President Trump, I'd say, hey, there's been no impeachment. The articles haven't been submitted. And until there is no impeachment process. This has been stopped and delayed, and so it really doesn't exist.
On, quote, Feldman, hater of Trump, quote, if the House does not communicate its impeachment to the Senate, it hasn't actually impeached the president. If they
haven't done this process and sent it over, they haven't started the impeachment process. Quote unquote.
Are not transmitted, President Trump could legitimately say that he wasn't truly impeached at all, end quote.
Quote unquote. If these aren't submitted and they aren't done, the president can say he wasn't impeached. It wasn't started. This process, this whole charade is pathetic, but it shows how crooked and powerful, power-hungry these people are and how crooked they are. Trying to get stuff going and educated, and they're supposed to be leaders in our political process, and they're more like spoiled children, playing a very dangerous game.
And Pelosi said, well, I have to see how the Senate is going to run the trial. And this is where it's all, this is just another aspect of the constitutional malpractice. Where in the Senate does it say?
Now, again, constitutional malpractice and the destruction of constitutional law and constitutional process. This is illegal. This is wrong. This is unconstitutional.
The Speaker of the House has to approve how the Senate's going to run the trial. Nancy, you're way out of your lane. You've been out of your lane for years.
And so Nancy has overstepped her bound for a long time. She should actually be impeached and removed from office because of abuse of power and obstruction of justice. And in my mind, for treasonous acts against the Constitution of the United States, against the presidency. That's how I see it. This is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Good day.